Mr. Stone?
Mayor and council members, my name is Robert Stone. On December 17th of last year, Mayor Prunier recused himself from voting on an agenda item relating to the Dakota Project, a residential plan development district in which he plans to acquire a unit. The Dakota Project came before council several times, beginning in early 2014, when it was revived from a prior plan for the site known as Crescendo. We now know that the mayor was employed by Rich Meany beginning in 2013 and ending on April 24, 2015. During these years, the mayor inconsistently recused himself on Meany Nexus development projects, hence the recall of the Casa del Camino sale on item 4A on tonight's agenda, with the recommendation to rescind the sale of that property. But this is only the beginning of what promises to be a long series of rescinded sales and voided contracts. The reason this must inevitably take place is the existence of multiple violations of Section 1090 of the state's government code on the part of the mayor and all city council members present tonight. Section 1090 bans any public official from having either a direct or indirect interest in his agency's contracts, and contracts under this section are defined very broadly. Willful violations of Section 1090 may be punished as a felony. If a Palm Springs mayor or city council member has a conflict as defined in Section 1090, any payments made to contracting parties must be returned to the city, and no claim for future payments under such contract may be made. According to Grover Trask, the special counsel and former Riverside County District Attorney for 24 years, Section 1090 states, quote, "The making of a governmental contract in which the official has a financial interest is illegal. When the public official with the proscribed financial interest is a member of a public body or board, the prohibition of Section 1090 extends to the entire body or board. This means that even if the board member discloses his or her financial interest and disqualifies from participating or voting on the matter, the remaining board is still prohibited from entering into the contract in question. Contracts approved under such circumstances are void and unenforceable, even if the financially interested member refrains from participation in the contract," end quote. Unfortunately for Palm Springs, many such contracts have been entered into since the mayor's employment with Richard Meany began. What has not been discussed, and the subject I must present tonight, is the failure of Mayor Prunier and council to consider the mayor's relationship to John Westman. John Westman and Richard Meany are business partners in the Dakota Project, doing business as Dakota Partners. Their cooperative financial ventures have included the Hacienda Cantina Project and the proposed cafe at the Wellwood Murray Library. To put it simply, Mayor Prunier had, for the duration of his employment with Rich Meany, an indirect financial relationship with Mr. Westman. He continued to regularly vote in favor of projects before City Council sponsored by Mr. Westman, and in doing so, he voted to enhance the financial status of Mr. Westman, his employer's business partner, and indirectly improve his own prospects for financial gain. In addition to voiding the sale of the Casa del Camino parcel, the sale of the Prairie Schooner parking lots to Mr. Meany must also be dissolved. The city will be able to retain title to the parking and keep the monies paid to them by Meany. All entitlements for the Dakota Project must be revoked. The facts also suggest that many of the agreements...
Thank you, Mr. Stone. We have a lot of speakers.
I'm wrapping up.
You're done. And since you accused me of multiple violations, please provide those to the city attorney, because I did recuse myself on any and perceived conflicts on the Dakota or the Crescendo project. So do a little bit more research. I know you love to do it, but provide any other ones that I wasn't supposed to vote on. Please provide those to the city attorney. Thank you, Mr. Stone. Mr. Moon.
I will provide the entire text to the city clerk.
Thank you. Close public. Well, fill out a card, please. You kind of know the drill. You've been here before, haven't you? How would I know you want to speak, Mr. Track?
To explain, Mr. Stone asked me to finish his statement, so I did not anticipate speaking, but I would like to finish that if I may.
Perfect.
Okay, and that's why I didn't fill out the speaker's slip.
Well.
Mr. Robert Stone had just started a presentation on what he felt was the obligation of the city to understand Government Code 1090. This is Mr. Stone's research. It's not my own, but I do believe that it is of a benefit to everybody and have that finished out. In addition to voiding the sale of the Casa del Camino parcel, the sale of the Prairie Schooner parking lots to Mr. Meany must also be dissolved. The city will be able to retain title to the parking and keep the monies paid to them by Mr. Meany. All entitlements for the Dakota project must be revoked. The facts also suggest that many of the agreements entered into for the Desert Fashion Plaza remodel must be voided. Certainly the $5.3 million paid last December for the event space should be returned to the city, and the city should be able to retain that land. Since Mayor Punier retains his employment with the Palm Springs International Film Festival and Ms. Jenny Fote retains her employment with the Mizell Center, the city must revisit any contracts or agreements made with these organizations, as well as refuse to enter into any future contracts with these entities as required by Section 1090 as long as their employment continues. As elected officials, you are required to attend ethics training every 2 years, and you should have known the provisions of Section 1090 as they apply to you. Certainly, the city attorney should have known them as well and advised you appropriately, because the oversights in these matters are so grave and will affect all of council, the mayor, the city manager, and the city attorney. An independent third-party investigation is essential. Thank you for your time, Mr. Robert Stone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stone. Okay. Yeah. Mr. Holland, would you like to address Mr. Stone / Ms. Deertrack's comments there? 1090.
Section 1090 does not apply to situations that involve your employer or an agency that you serve. 1090 deals with contracts with you. The city did not enter into a contract with you. That the relationships that have been defined, however, are covered under the Political Reform Act. And for those situations, they require that you not participate on those matters. And the council has a very good track record of not participating on those issues where there is a potential conflict of interest. Again, this is not a 1090 issue. This is a Political Reform Act issue, and your obligation is to simply recuse and not participate on those particular items. Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Mr. Holland. Yes, Ms. Fote.
There was training in our ethics training, which addressed 1090, which said that if I owned a company, that I could not do business with the city. But I don't own Mizell, and I work very hard for that organization, and
yes, you do.
And I resent the fact that it's being brought up here. This is a nonprofit that does great good for the seniors of our community. And it has nothing to do with 1090. And this is just a continuation, I believe, of a lot of the innuendos that have created a lot of what's happening today.
Thank you, Ms. Fote. And so I appreciate the comments where some people are frustrated with the mayor. That's fine. Some might not like my consulting arrangement, either with Mr. Meany and Union Abbey or with the Palm Springs International Film Festival. As Mr. Rosenberg articulated, I did file them, and I did state reasons. And, the desert, for all of you who've quoted and just said that you're going to get all your news from the Desert Sun and that's what you think should be brought forward, I'm a little sad to hear that all your news is just from the Desert Sun. And I'll be very specific about some of my comments about the newspaper and some of their editorials. Mr. Stone has for a long time been against the downtown project and this city moving forward. So it's no reason he might bring up a reason here to try to all of a sudden unhinge and unwind all of the progress that we've made on a 14-acre site downtown that has been dilapidated and blighted for years. So that is absolutely no surprise at all. So I could spend a lot of time talking about some of the things and the innuendos, because the Desert Sun, I will tell you, has done, in my belief, a disservice to the community. They misrepresent facts. They don't understand the redevelopment process at all. As much as Mr. Reddy has tried to explain, they just don't like the answers. They don't like some of the answers that I give them. They put in the paper the headline, "The mayor won't comment." The two articles they asked me to comment on were ones they knew I couldn't because I had a conflict. That becomes their headline. The one today, "Board unaware Punier worked for Meany." I'm supposed to let the library board this? Of course they didn't know. They sent me a letter and I forwarded it to him because I'm not supposed to talk about it. Miss Marshall made a comment. Mrs. Marshall, part-time resident, she didn't know. "Sorry, Barbara, I'm sorry I didn't get on the phone and call you and let you." Or Mr. Willison. It's not my job to tell them. And in the articles actually does a great disservice. But a few in the editorial. I haven't planned on running for re-election for a long time. And my husband of 23 years and my children have known that, as has Barbara Rose, who's sitting in row 3. So, Miss Beatty, it has nothing to do with the item up on the Pizza Hut property. Listen, folks, I made a mistake. It was on the consent calendar. There are lots of things on the consent calendar. It's not up to my colleagues to sit there. I made the mistake. Okay? The reason that 4A, and I won't participate, is to be transparent. The sale hadn't closed, so we're doing the right thing to rescind it, so then the council can do what they want, and I won't participate. Mr. Stone, there's a lot of allegations about a lot of other votes. Bring them forward, because they're not there. The paper. They think that my relationship with Mr. Meany now controls every project and every redevelopment project that's come forward in this city. And it's absolutely not true. The Prairie Schooner lot, I recused myself. I didn't vote on the sale. And I just told you about the other one that we're rectifying. So they can make all the innuendos that they would like. And I'm sure they will continue to do so. In their editorial on Sunday, instead, the mayor released an open letter on his campaign website and via social media that blamed the desert sun for his image. Really now? Really? Okay. And then we talk about the laundry list. Actually, it was a letter to the citizens of Palm Springs. It just wasn't on my website. You know one of the reasons I had to do that, folks? Because the Desert Sun wouldn't print a Valley Voice. I tried to take an ad out in the newspaper, but I was critical of the paper, so I couldn't take an ad out into the newspaper. Whose violation of their First Amendment rights is that? A paid advertisement. Quote unquote, I was critical of them. So I know you love to get your news from the newspaper, and they'll continue to do everything in their power to desecrate me and my integrity and my colleagues' integrity. But as long as I'm sitting up here, I will continue to do the right things. And here's proof of that. If anyone thinks that Barrett Newkirk is going through September of 2006 audios of meetings all by himself, I don't buy it. And they put it in the paper. I don't remember 9 years ago. I voted on a thing, but I probably did have to go to the restroom. My point here is there is no doubt a link between candidates seeking office and what is happening at the center. I'm a big boy. I can take it. All right? But there is no doubt information is going from opposition research to the news. No doubt in my mind. Absolutely no doubt. And that will continue. They will do everything in their power to continue to take me down and this council down for all of the good projects and things we did. And that ain't no way to win an election. Trust me. Not going to happen. But you will continue to do that. All right? We've had every records request on the planet, okay, which takes up taxpayer dollars, and that's fine. My schedule is being released tomorrow for 3 years. You know, any of you want to come up and see how many meetings I've had when I'm here, come, we'll make it available to you. But what I'm not going to let happen is 12 years ago, we sat here as city council, and this city was just sort of coming out of it. And then, of course, the Great Recession hit. And 8 years ago when I became mayor, okay, we were in a depression and a recession. And most stakeholders in here said, do something about it. Do something about it. You're right. I'm a big believer in public-private partnerships. Absolutely. Do I support the incentive programs that we've had here in this city? I do. There's no doubt. You want the BMW dealership or do you want the Magruder? Do you want the Rock Garden or do you want the Hacienda? We go on and on about stories. Do you want the old Howard Johnson's or do you want the Ace Hotel? Do you want the old Holiday Inn or do you want the Saguaro? And we made things happen. And now it appears every one of those is under scrutiny, which is the innuendos that they're all connected is, I'm sorry, it is ridiculous. I made the mistake on the one that I'm fessing up to, all right? But we have done too much in this city for candidates for office or KSQ or Desert Sun that think there's all these horrible, horrible things out there to continue to push and push and push. That's fine, but I'll push back because this city is a different city. And there's still a bunch of people in this city. That's right. They don't want the downtown project. They don't like stories like Louis Vuitton and 2.4 media billion impressions. We used to be told, find us a $100 customer and not 10 $10 customers. Well, when Bernie Renault was here from Louis Vuitton, we found you a $40 billion customer. And that's because of the good things that have happened in this city. And that's to continue what I will, as long as I'm sitting up here, push for. And that's okay. You don't have to like the consulting. I get it. For the people who sent me emails about that, that's fine. That's fine. I reported it. You don't have to like it. I get it. But I want to see the politics of destruction and assassination for things that aren't relevant, that I'm sure will continue. You can be rest assured it will be fought back. And it will be fought back incredibly, incredibly hard because too many people in this room, small merchants, have worked their tails off to get to a point now where foot traffic is higher. Things are happening and people are happy. And that's what I will continue to fight for. So that is my statement tonight. Thank you very much. Mayor Pro Tem Lewin.
Thank you, Mayor. And, I want to address everyone in the room here tonight, too.
But is this going to be the item you talked about in the newspaper?
Yes, it is.
All right, then although I don't have to recuse myself, Mr. City Attorney, I think it's probably appropriate that I do. Okay.
Okay. All right. First of all, this has nothing to do with the mayor, but out of an abundance of caution, I guess he's going to recuse himself. Folks, I think everyone in here has a ton of passion for the city. There's no doubt in my mind. And the disconnect between what some people say and other actions that have gone on, if you sit in this chair, can be very, very difficult. It can be very difficult to hear the disconnect between actions we've taken and views people have. And then what happens is the folks in the media will call you and ask your opinion. Well, what do you think about this or that? This is why this disconnect is the reason that I said, let's just go ahead and take a review of our economic incentive programs. It's really not a groundbreaking idea. It's just good government. And the notion that we can't take a look at what we know are very successful programs which have resulted in a tremendous amount of redevelopment, the notion that we can't hire a forensic auditor to take a look and make sure that every T and I was dotted and crossed is just not true. We can do that, and we'll learn something. And if we made a mistake, as some people allege, we can own up to it. And with regard to land transactions, I think there's a lot of innuendo, but what we have to do is just get facts. And I would like to see us, and this is what I'm asking of council, is let's just hire an independent forensic auditor to look at our economic incentive programs, tell us if we made a mistake, tell if it was within the law, and let's also consider bringing in an independent lawyer or maybe a retired judge in municipal law to review our land transactions. I believe that we will come through with flying colors, and I believe that the public is just looking for that, looking for, we don't want to see a back and forth between staff members and media. We don't want, quite frankly, we don't want to make the media go through 100 records requests. Let's just be open and transparent. And council, if you'll join me on this, I am confident in what we've done. I wouldn't be a lifelong resident of Palm Springs sitting here if I wasn't. So I'm asking you, and I know it caught you by surprise, so I want to apologize to my council members for that. But the innuendo got too much, and I don't have all the answers. When someone asks me, hey, did you know that, 4 years ago this specific bill may or may not have been paid? There's no way for me to know that. So we have to do this independent audit, and folks, things will be fine. I want to encourage everyone to stick together on this and see how great this city is. The fact that Louis Vuitton here is not a joke, it's reality. We've got a great thing coming. Just have a little faith and wait for the report. And council, I really hope that you'll allow us to agendize that and just get it in the works so that the public knows we're the most transparent government in the Coachella Valley. Speak.
Yes, I would. Thank you. I think that, I've been on this council for 12 years, and this has been the most painful thing that I have gone through on this council, because I have seen citizens of the city just turn into people who I didn't even know. My fellow council members and I spend a lot of time working on all these issues. And as I worked as a council member, I assumed that my community knew that what I was working on from the votes that I cast, because even though you may have heard that things happen in closed session, everything that happens in closed session gets reported out. We don't vote on any sales in closed session. We discuss legal contracts, we discuss terms, but we don't vote in closed session. Everything that's happened has happened in open session. And Mr. Holland, at the beginning of the meeting, reports out everything that we've done in closed session. And when he says there's no decisions have been made, there's no decisions that have been made. And so I really believe what has happened in much of this current controversy has been misunderstanding about our very successful business incentive program. And I just want to say something to PSP. You moved into downtown too late, because we did sections of the city with the business incentive. And I've asked Mr. Reddy to put all the businesses, and there's hundreds of them, that we have given money to, small businesses. In the downtown business section alone, it was $130,000 just on signage and paint. That was given to the small businesses. And so, yes, we did Uptown, and now we're doing South Palm Canyon. So we have moved around. Mr. Hutchinson and myself are very proud of the work that we've done. And so we are going to be posting this on the website, all the things that have been done since the beginning of this business incentive program. As I watched this unfolding, I couldn't help but think about the business manager, the downtown business manager that we used to have. That we had to come up with codes and ordinances so that we would cover the windows with artwork and with paper in the downtown area, so that people would not see how unsuccessful we were, how bad this town was. That the $12 million we had to cut from our budget and lay people off. All of that took a lot of hard work to get us to where we are today, and a lot of work that I think was under the leadership of this council, of every single one of the people on this council. But having said all of that, I think we've accomplished a lot. But I believe also that there is what there is in misunderstanding. I do attribute it a lot to people who just don't hear and people who just don't want to hear. And I also do attribute it to some of the comments that were in the Desert Sun, because I don't think they had full information about all of what happened. So I am not clear on how we do this independent audit, but I am convinced that we do need to have a review. I came onto this council as a member got involved with the city to begin with as a member of the Blue Ribbon Committee that was a budget committee. And that was in 2002, where the city had things in their budget that they asked people, citizens from the community who had financial and business experience, to work on this Blue Ribbon Commission to come up with some ways that we could change things, we could suggest things to the city that would cut prices, cut expenses in the city, and where we could increase revenue to the city. And that committee did an excellent job, not just because I was on it, I did a very little part of it. And so I'm thinking that maybe we ought to start with that. Maybe we ought to see, we have a lot of talent in this city, and we have a lot of people that speak up and people that cannot be swayed and don't have to be paid, so that we don't have to take money from our coffers. And so we can't actually make this decision tonight because of the Brown Act, so it will go on our next council agenda as to what we're going to do, whether we hire somebody to do a forensic audit, or we put together a committee of CPAs, finance people, attorneys, people who know RDA, our citizens, and that they can totally operate separate from the council and can report to the community. So that's also something that I'm going to throw in the mix. If it's the best way, I don't know. But I certainly believe that there's been damage done. There's been damage done to our reputation. There's been damage done to our brand. And I don't think the council members up here ever attempted to do that. And I don't think the citizens ever attempted to have that happen either. So I'm just, I will vote to have this put on, to have something put on our next council agenda where we can fully discuss what would be the best way to clear the air, because it's really, really painful what's happening in this city right now.
Councilmember Hutchison.
Thank you, Mr. Lewin. I'm not going to make a speech tonight, but I concur with Ms. Fode's remarks. I think I'm very proud of the work that we've done over the past many years in bringing back our city. We've partnered with businesses, small and big, for many years, and I think it's a very good idea for the city manager to put all of them on the city website. And if you're interested in these programs and how they worked and who benefited, please go to the city's website and read through the list. There are many, many, many businesses throughout the city that have been helped and been partnered with over the years. And I think we see the results in terms of the way our community and our downtown look today. And I also like the idea of bringing in some respected citizens and professionals to take a look at things so that we can assure the citizens that the city's business is being done appropriately. I'm not a proponent of spending a great deal of money to do this. I think we can have people of impeccable reputation, and I think that will satisfy reasonable people. So I look forward to discussing this when it comes back on an agenda item at our next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hutchison. Councilmember Mills.
Thank you, Mr. Lewin. I'm in agreement with certainly everything that's been said. I agree with what the mayor's comments were, and certainly what Mr. Lewin and Mr. Hutchison and Ms. Fote. My part of my frustration in this whole situation and what everyone reads about in the paper, and I've not seen anything on KESQ. I guess they're doing something too, but people talk about the conflict of interest, 1090, et cetera, et cetera. Of all the council people up here, I just sat down and added up my years, and I've been taking these every other year ethics courses now for 16 times. So that's a total of 32 years that I've been dealing with the same FPPC, the 1099s, and I think probably more so than anybody here, I understand it, and I still, when there's a question, go to the city attorney and ask for an opinion, but and I sit in the closed sessions, and I sit in these meetings, knowing what that law is, and understanding it. I think very, very well, and abstaining when I need to abstain, and leaving the room when I need to leave the room, et cetera, et cetera. Everything that this council has done has been handled exactly like it's supposed to be handled, and the mayor did make a mistake on one simple vote, and we've got 24 items on our closed session, our consent agenda every meeting. And to make a mistake and not abstaining on one of them is is it right? No. I mean, and the mayor admits he should have abstained, but the comments in the Desert Sun, as I read it, that we are responsible for making sure that the mayor abstains when he's supposed to abstain is absolutely ludicrous. That we individually are responsible for abstentions. It's not staff's purview to know every contract that my firm has, or that the senior center has, or that Rick's firm has, or the Paul's firm has. It's absolutely crazy. And if everybody's sitting up here, and especially new people who might be interested in sitting up here, who you want to encourage to sit up here, thinking that they have to have every minute and every contract part of their life submitted to the city attorney for review, and to the city manager for review, and for them to weigh in on it is absolutely crazy. And there'd be nobody sitting here that would be qualified in my mind, or you as citizens would like to have qualified people here that are involved in the community and understand what's happening. It goes to discourage people from wanting to sit here, and it's all because you read things in the newspaper that are half truths, not really. They may say the right thing, but it's at the end of the article after you've read the headline in a page and a half of comments about about the bad side of stuff, and the stuff that really isn't really true. And then in the back of the article, they'll mention what really is the case. So it's very frustrating for me. This has happened in the past. It's not the first time that this kind of stuff has happened, but it's frustrating every time it happens, because the rules are not being laid out, and this council, as I mentioned before, follows the rules, and that it's I mean, I'm not going to object to bringing out or having whether it's an independent group or whoever. to look at this at this information. But the very suggestion that the district attorney or the grand jury looks at it is absolutely ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. And I think for those people that are making those type of comments, there's ulterior motives, and I hope you as the public look at what those ulterior motives are and look at the past history of what those people have done and have said about actions that this council has done. It's I'm rambling a little bit, and I'm frustrated heavily. It is. I think the mayor outlined, what's happened in this city in the last 8 years has been extremely positive. I don't think anyone would say it hasn't been positive, and the negativity being generated here is just it's deteriorating what we have done or spent 12 years or 8 years or whatever it is to accomplish, and everything that we do on every item we vote on is written in this book right here, and this is maybe half the size of the book we get, depending on what our agendas are, and it's all written in here. And if you or the Desert Sun or anybody else wants to know the details of everything we voted on, it's all in here. This is the information we go by, and it's all here. So if you really want to put yourself in a position to criticize the decisions that are being made here, then do the homework, read it, and understand what we're doing and why we're doing it, because it's all here. And for someone or some media to come afterwards and say that we weren't transparent, this is transparent. And if you want to do, use an individual or whoever want to do the research, then the research is here. It's online. You can get a copy of everything that we look at and see exactly how we came to the decisions that we came to between what's in here and what's said at the meetings. So it's real easy to jump on a bandwagon, but I suggest that if you really have the interest, then get involved in what these items are and look at this and understand that the information is here. It's public, it's transparent, it's available. So we report out, as Ms. Vogt mentioned, the city attorney reports out on every closed session. We do not take votes in closed session, and I'm sorry for rambling. My frustrations are great, as I mentioned, and I'm anxious to put this whole thing behind us. And I hate election years.
Thank you, Councilmember Mills and City Council. I think there's consensus to place on the next agenda a discussion for a review of economic programs and land transfers. Yes? Thank you very much, and let's bring the mayor back.